After the euphoria of Blair Kinghorn's last-minute length-of-the-field exploit signed off another Six Nations campaign for the men, fans were left to deal with the withdrawal of sweet, sweet international rugby cold turkey. Thankfully though, we have found a way to get our fix and so much more. This Saturday, we attended our first home nation game of the TikTok Women's Six Nations, where a Scotland side looked to learn the lessons so harshly taught by a phenomenal England side. We're up against an effervescent Cymru team who are superb in their opening game, beating Ireland by 31 points to 5. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Boxing Weights and Rugby YouTube channel. Let's talk rugby. Women's rugby is currently in a wonderful and fascinating place. Finally getting the exposure it so richly deserved with the introduction of centralised contracts, we now have teams at different stages of professionalism. The Red Roses sit atop the tree, fully in bloom, an incredible side fit to burst with talent and run like a truly professional organisation. Scotland, on the other hand, feel like they are still in the infancy of their professionalism, with contracts only handed out last year. You can see moments of where the system breaks down or errors are made, but also you get the joy of knowing magical moments are possible at any given opportunity. After some rousing renditions of the national anthems, it was Wales who started the game better and were rewarded with an early try from the phenomenal Cecilia Tuipulotu. A clever move from the line-out as Wales look like they are going to set them all before the ball is dropped down to the giant tight head prop. She then absolutely flattens both Corinne Grant and scrum half Katie Matheson and scores in the corner to set the tone for a fantastic encounter.
The best word I can say, but will describe this, was boom. Ooh, what was this?
Scotland answered back quickly with a penalty from Helen Nelson before Wales extend their lead with a second try. Some brilliant physicality sees Wales make good ground in the middle of the park before Eleanor Snowsill picks out a brilliant line from Caris Williams Morris, who steps past Chloe Rowley before offloading to Kira Bevan, winning her 50th cap, who like any good scrum half has continued on with her support line. Followed by a brilliant tackle from Rachel McLachlan, Cymru then settle and expertly go through some good old-fashioned pick and goes, before finally Gwendolyn Poiris powers over under the sticks.
And there's the finish line! Power!
In a back and forth first half, Scotland were next to land a telling blow with their own expertly taken line-out. A solid maul set allows Scotland to start creaking towards the try line. Scotland then start to wheel them all round, taking the majority of the Welsh pack out of play, allowing the brilliant Lana Skeldon to dot down for a very well-deserved try.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! I'm ready!
Games are won and lost at the elite level by the finest of margins, and the moments just before and after half-time cost Scotland dearly. Before half-time, Scotland run a fabulous strike play off a scrum, a move very reminiscent of one we have seen in the men's team used before. Smith runs a great dummy line, giving fly half Nelson as much time as possible to pick her moment. The fantastic Emma Orr runs another great line, keeping the Welsh centres occupied as Nelson drops it off at the last possible moment to Francesca McGee, who's worked her way around from the blind side. She blasts through the gap on the outside of the Welsh defence. A great covering tackle from Hannah Jones denies Scotland, who set to start the pick and go towards the Welsh line. Scotland cycle through multiple phases before Merlin Smith gets herself isolated, and the fantastic Alex Callender turns it over and the chance is gone. Or is it? Cymru go full Fraser Brown and overthrow the line out, and the chance is back on. The sudden shift forces inside centre Karen Lake to cynically play the 9, but the corresponding yellow card was worth it in the end. After running through the phases and wrestling the momentum back, Scotland have good ball under the sticks. They attack left, and despite having upwards on 4-on-1 on the outside, Scotland take the ball standing still and the Welsh defence is able to flood over and chance number 1 is gone.
Fuck!
But again, Scotland recycle well, and some big carries from the forwards reinvigorates the attack before they look to go wide again. Seeing again numbers are there on the outside, Smith attempts the loop miss pass, but this is brilliantly read by Newman, and despite getting the penalty, another chance goes begging. 3 big chances just before half-time have come and gone, and somewhat inevitably the line-out goes wrong and Scotland head into the break 10-12 down despite being a player up.
Fuck!
And despite that disadvantage, Wales come out in the second half absolutely flying and run through the phases expertly, taking advantage of their greater physicality. The try is eventually scored when loosehead prop Gwendolyn Price muscles her way over the line for her second try, and it is now a serious uphill task for Scotland.
Damn it! Napa!
Do you remember that beautiful play we spoke about just before half-time? Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and Scotland run a very similar strike move off an attacking scrum. Smith takes the ball straight up to the line, and thanks to another great run from the fantastic Orr, the 4 nearest Welsh defenders are now out of the running. Nelson times it perfectly until the tackler is fully committed, and Cody Grant is over for a beautiful score, and the game is back on.
Oh! Yes.
Wales suddenly under pressure with the Dam Health Stadium bouncing return to what they have been so good at throughout the game and make the most of another trip into the Scotland 22. Some brilliant offloads generate great attacking momentum, and from here Wales edge towards the try line, running through phase after phase, battering a tireless Scotland defence. The telling bit of quality comes from blindside flanker Bethan Lewis, who shapes up for another pick and go before firing a sharp pass across the face of the 2 near-sided guards into the grateful arms of Toi Pilotu, who smashes the last defender and scores the second try of the game. Momentum is so key at test match level, and Wales never allowed Scotland to get a stranglehold on the game. Now, in a week where I spent most of my time crying over the news of Stuart Hogg's looming retirement, one lady put her hand up to fill the soon-to-be gaping hole in my heart. Enter Chloe Rowley. When a promising Scotland attack goes stale, she gets the ball and sees the nearest of gaps. That's all she needs. Flying past the near-sided winger, she then steps night, eliciting the sort of involuntary noise that the King of Hoyk himself has done for so many years.
Oh my!
Alas, this was not meant to be for Scotland, and after Wales added another penalty, Scotland found themselves facing a scrum, having to run the length of the pitch to win the match. Sound familiar? Well, it didn't go quite as planned. In one of the most truly upsetting and erotic sights in rugby, Wales flattened the Scottish scrum against the head, and replacement scrum half Fionn Lewis rounds off a superb cameo off the bench and clinches the game for Wales. After a great win over Ireland, Wales have a huge number of positives as they start to look ahead to the bigger fish of France and England. The entire back row were exceptional, with Alex Callender standing out in particular as a thorn in Scotland's side all afternoon. Pars was exceptional, and Lewis was a live wire coming off the bench amongst many others, but mainly the props must go to the player of the match, Cecilia Toi Pilotu. At just 19 years old, she was literally head and shoulders above anyone else on the park, and it is no exaggeration when I say that not only is she the sort of player that Wales should build their team around, she is the sort of player you can build the sport of women's rugby around. A frustrating game for Scotland with plenty of positives hidden in the mix. Lana Skeldon was exceptional all evening, Chloe Rowley is a weapon and needs to be used more effectively, and Emma Orr showed the sort of potential that you can see a future Lions player in her. However, Scotland clearly missed the experienced heads of Lisa Thompson and Rona Lloyd, and will want to look to develop in a few areas for the upcoming games. Simple errors were a momentum killer at all times, and the main culprit was Scotland's tendency to take the ball static and then try and attack laterally rather than running forward. This allowed Wales to consistently catch Scotland behind the gain line, and it makes it much harder to get anywhere when you're constantly going backwards. The frustration is we saw on several occasions when Scotland get it right, they are glorious to watch. Even now, and when the GB7 players return, Scotland have a team capable of winning almost any game. They just need to go out and do it. Something I know the ladies will be very keen on as they target both Italy and Ireland at home at the tail end of April.
Smells like potential.
I would also highly recommend getting down to support the ladies if you can. The rugby is wonderful and the atmosphere is first class. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and let us know in the comments section which sport you're here for. Drop a B for boxing, a W for weightlifting and an R for rugby. Thank you and have a great evening.